All right, we are live again. Oh, it feels so good. Okay, so if you don't know, my name is Amy and I currently live in Albania. I moved from the United States to Albania, and so far I am loving it here. I'm enjoying it. I'm having a really good time. So last night, we talked about the wow moments in Albania, how to self soothe when you feel out of place, and also what I miss about home. So I'll just quickly recap that before we go into our new subjects for tonight. And again, anybody who's coming in, feel free to comment and just let me know what questions you have about moving abroad and anything like that, because moving abroad is never easy and I don't want to gatekeep, so I want to give as much information as I can. Welcome to the room, everybody. Welcome to the room. I'm so glad you're here. I'm still recovering because I had a really good sleep last night. Like, because I don't know, just moving abroad, like, this is like the best sleep I've ever got. So, anyway, last night, like I said, we covered a wow moment that I realized I was in Albania. That included driving. There's no places to really get like bulk items. And also, somebody asked me for the first time if we speak English. And obviously, that doesn't happen when you are in an English speaking country. So, yeah. And then the next thing we covered was how to self soothe when you feel out of place, because that is completely 100% natural. And then also what I missed about home. And that was driving, US holidays, small talk, and the lack of diversity. But like I always say, when you go to a new country, you probably may be the only one that looks like you unless you're going back to your home country. But otherwise, you're probably going to be like kind of sticking out like a sore thumb. But lack of diversity does not equal danger. And I want people to know that. Like, I feel like I had to say that in my every live, because that was actually a question that I got today from somebody when I was walking on the street. And they were like, "Oh, don't you feel alone here?" And I'm like, "No, I'm experiencing different cultures." So now, the first thing we're gonna get into is what one thing, or I'll say a couple, but the things that changed about me since I moved to Albania. Again, I came from the United States, specifically New York, and now I am in Albania. And again, I just want to say welcome to everybody in the room. If you come in here, make sure you double tap the screen and let's get these likes up, because I want to share this information with everybody. There are people who want to move outside of the United States or just move out of their home country. And it's important that we don't gatekeep. We want to make sure that everybody receives all of their information. So, the thing that changed me, first thing that changed was, and I'll get a little personal, but my weight. So my weight, I noticed that it changed dramatically when I left the United States. Not only is there fresher food, so I'm able to be in an environment where I'm getting mostly like, I don't know, like mostly like fresher fruits, fresher vegetables, you know what I'm saying? So I saw the weight easily drop off to the point where I had to like really, thank you for tapping the screen. I love it so much. Let's get those likes up. I love it. I love it. So like I said, my weight was one thing that did change when I moved out of the United States. I feel like because I had access to fresher food, I was able to. Oh, thank you for the rose. I appreciate it. Let me see who did that. Oh, thank you. And by the way, anybody who chooses to contribute, I will follow you at the end of the live. So don't forget, just remember that I'm going to follow everybody who decides to contribute. If not, I just want us to get up those likes because I want to share this information with everybody. So, the weight came off after eating, having access to fresher foods that are non-GMO. And I just saw that like the clothes started shrinking and everything like that. I had to go shopping again. And it was really satisfying to see, because in America, I felt like although I was eating healthy, I wasn't eating natural. You know what I mean? So, oh, Jose, welcome to the room. Welcome. And those of you who are in and out, don't forget to just hit that like on the screen. Thank you so much for coming in here. So, The second thing was my patience. Oh, thank you for the heart me. I love it. I appreciate it. Thank you. So, the second thing that changed about me was my patience. I felt like I'll try to get you to 500. Like, that is amazing. Thank you so much. Anything you can do is amazing. I appreciate that. Because, like I said, I want to make sure that everybody who is thinking about moving abroad gets the real information, not just what's pretty about it, you know? So, beside the weight, the second thing that changed was patience. Living in the US, it was a lot of like hustle and bustle, and it was a lot of situations where I felt like I had to rush to do things. You had to rush to eat, you had to rush to take care of yourself, you had to rush around. And although I can say Albania, a lot of people do walk very fast. Sometimes they may bump into you, and don't take it personal if you experience that. And the cars are, when they drive here, it's like you would think every day is a race track, like every street is a racing track. But one thing is that the patience, like knowing that things are going to work out no matter what, and just being able to just take things slower. And that was one thing that was hard for me, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm living in a new country. I want to rush to get everything done. And why isn't anything happening so quick like I'm used to in America? But I realized that when you take things slow, not only is that healthier for you and your body, but that's healthier for your mindset. So it's very, 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 very important that you take things slow. And I didn't really see the value of that until I left the United States. So there's that. And then the third thing that I feel changed about me, but I'm still working on, is accepting change. With a lot of situations, especially living in Europe, and it's not a bad thing, but with a lot of situations, you're going to have to adapt and learn to, just realize that, you're trying to go in a straight line, but sometimes that line may go this way, go that way. So, so, listen, whatever y'all want to do is what you want to do. I did see that comment. It's not going to be shown to others, but I did see that comment. Whatever you want to do is what you do. But, I don't know. Maybe I say yes if I get a Rosa. I don't know. But no, but anyway. So one thing that changed, like I said, the last thing was accepting change. Definitely accepting change. It was very, very important, because accepting change is like, I don't know. It's like you have to just realize that things are not going to always go in one direction. You have to make sure that it goes, of course, properly, but you want to be able to adapt, because living in Europe, especially, there's going to be a lot of different things. You may expect to get a taxi and go somewhere, or you may expect that, oh, if I go to this place, I'm going to get this thing, but you have to adapt to it. Like, for example, when I came to Albania, they don't have Ubers here. They have all taxi drivers. So the taxi drivers are a little bit different. You have to kind of show them where you're going. You have to kind of get used to the fact that they may not know the specific address of things. You kind of have to like feed them the information. And that was a little frustrating, because when you have Uber, you can just type in what you want, type in the address, and then boom, somebody picks you up and you go. But in Albania, it is a little bit different. You do have to get used to the fact that when you are in a country like Albania, you're going to have to put a little bit more effort when it comes down to where you're going. The fact that they don't have Uber, like I said, and they don't have Amazon. I made a video about that. I'm also going to come up with a video on what to do and how to get Amazon-like services here, which is pretty easy. It's just another app you have to download. And so when that video comes out, be sure to take a look at that. Okay, I see we're at 569. Let's get those likes up. Let's get those likes up and welcome everybody to the room. I am an American living in Albania. If you have any questions about what it's like to live in Albania or move abroad, you just go ahead and let me know. I am more than happy to answer any questions that you got. So to just summarize our first topic, one thing that changed about me since I moved was the weight loss, patience, and also accepting change. Because living in Europe, You're gonna go through a lot of different changes, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in like a really, really good way, because you'll be able to honestly grow. You'll be able to grow. Like I said in my yesterday's live, like your brain is like a sponge. Your brain is like putty, and you need it to be moldable, you know? And the only way for you to kind of like expand your brain and like mold it and like do it right, like you have to get outside of your area. It's super, 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 super important. Very, very important. Now, for the next topic, and I appreciate everybody who is gifting. I definitely, definitely appreciate it. Definitely. So the second thing is that somebody asked me yesterday about clothes and what the style is like. Now, when you move to Europe, there's a big thing about your style and what you like to wear. And let me tell you something. It's a little bit interesting when you come to Europe versus a place like Italy. Like when you go to Italy, it's a very big deal on like fashion and what you're supposed to wear, how you're supposed to act and everything like that, right? But when you come to Albania, it's a little bit different. Where in Italy, where they kind of like frown upon like leggings, sweatpants, and wearing rollers outside, you see that in Albania, like not all the time, but sometimes, especially because it is getting a little cold. But in the summer, everyone dresses like they are going to a gala, like they are going to a fancy resort. So just keep that in mind if you do choose to go to Albania, or if you choose to come to Europe, like make sure that you do value, like you have some dressy clothes. Like if you're a man, get a nice couple of, get a couple of button up shirts. If you're a woman, don't be afraid to, get a couple of sundresses. And I don't mean like the bodycon tight ones, but they have like the flowy ones or like the mermaid style. Like you can get so much, you can gain so much knowledge from just looking at European fashion. Like that's not just what you see on Paris Fashion Week. Like that is what they live by. And a lot of Albanians get their inspiration from Italy. Like I had a woman tell me when I first came here that all the styles, especially for women, they are inspired by how they do feminine fashion in Italy. So that's good to know. So if you're coming from Italy to Albania, you don't really have to pack much or spend much because, you got it right there. So, and with the men, they really, really value their hairstyles. Like I noticed that like every time you walk past like a barber shop or anything like that, like it's always full. And sometimes there are like the same same company of barbershops all on the same street. So sometimes, and it's really funny because it seems like Albanian men have like the same like comb over, like sweep over hairstyle. So, and they do like the face mask. They do like a lot of things to make sure that they look clean and cut. And that's one thing you will notice when you go to Europe is that you will find people who are very, very clean, very, very nice, like nicely dressed. And again, if it gets cold, of course, they're wearing jackets, they're wearing leggings, they're wearing more so like house clothes or lounge clothes because, of course, they want to keep warm. And obviously, when you go to a colder place or when you're dealing with a colder environment, you can't wear your summer stuff. Your summer stuff, I mean. So you have to kind of like layer up more. So the next thing, we went over clothes, we went over the things that can possibly change you based off of, what I've had experience. The next thing, which is very, 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 very important, is a lot of people feel like when they come to another country that they may have to not hide certain aspects of themselves, but kind of, like adapt to the fact that maybe certain titles don't matter or the way the status is judged is not really the way they would judge it in America. For example, you have a lot of people in America that like to pride themselves on like maybe their job title, the level of education, or even like I'm not saying their family, but like maybe their associates, right? They'll say like, oh, That's one thing you notice, that when people introduce themselves in America, they say, oh, hi, I'm so and this is my job title, or I am a member of such and such and such. I noticed that in Albania, you can be a doctor, a lawyer, someone who is seen as high ranking in the US, but everybody's going to be treated the same. You're not going to see the doctors talking down to the nurses, or the CEOs talking down to the fruit stand people. Like, everybody's on the same level. And that's one of the things that I felt like was very interesting, because when I went to Albania initially, when I came here initially, welcome to the room. When I came here initially, I felt like, oh, I have to tell everybody I did this and I did that and I accomplished this. But they're like, okay, but what do you like to do? What, where are you from? Like, and I noticed that the questions are more about your identity versus your title. And that's a relief, because, like I said, coming from America, it was always about social status. It was like based off of your education or who you knew. And I just find that super, super interesting, but I am super relieved, because they will acknowledge your accomplishments, but they won't treat you differently because of it. And that is one of the things that makes me really, really happy to hear. So again, we covered one thing that changed about me, or a couple of things since I moved. Clothes, like style, like men versus women. Hey, the boss, how you doing? Welcome in. I appreciate everybody who's in here. I'm just going over what it's like to live in Albania coming from the United States. And it's ups and downs, of course, when you move abroad, but I can say that my experience so far has been amazing, and I appreciate this time. I definitely do. So, like I said, with the clothes, it's not really much of a pressure. I know I kind of made it like a big difference, but you can just bring whatever you have with you to Albania, and they won't look at you like you're crazy. The only thing is that they don't wear a lot of bright colors. So if you're going to wear like fluorescent colors or anything like that, like maybe you should just save that for the summer, because they don't really do that most of the time. I'll be honest with you. So, and then again, with your credentials, you don't have to hide them, but in this situation, they're not going to make your credentials your, like they won't make that as part of who you are. They'll just acknowledge it, but they mostly are interested, from my experience, they're mostly interested in what you like to do, where you're from. They even ask you what you think about them. And I got that before when I went to Italy too, because people ask, oh, how do you like Italy? How do you like Albania? How do you, the people in Europe want to know what you feel about them. And I kind of concluded that that's because there's so many stereotypes that go on regarding Europe, and there's so many different things that people assume about Europe. And so Europeans want to make sure that, like, hey, if you assume something about our country, we're going to politely like explain it or correct you on it. And they also like to ask you about how long you've been in the country. Like that's like a big thing that people ask, because then they can tell you like, oh, like, okay, you've been here long enough to know our people. Or, oh, if you're here, did you have a chance to go here? Did you have a chance to go there? So from my experience, Europeans are very, very interested in you, not from your social status, meaning like not your career or your family name or whatever, but they are interested in, who you are as a person. And I feel that that is something that maybe people in more like English speaking countries kind of need to get ahead of, because it's not just always about status. So the next thing is the moment I realized it was time to go. Now, everyone has this moment. I've seen this a lot on TikTok, especially people who moved abroad. They're like, oh, this is a moment I realized I needed to leave. And so this is kind of like a two-parter. And I'm happy to share this with you guys and girls. But after school, and when I say school, I mean college, whether you're going for 4 years, 2 years, 7 years, like me, but you're promised a lot in America. You're made to feel like, oh, you know, you're going to get wealth and comfort, and you got this degree, you're the top such and such percent. I see we're at 1.1K likes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I see the boss is liking the live. Thank you. Let's get those likes up. Let's get those likes up. I love it because I want to share with other people what it is like to move abroad and give a realistic view instead of just showing beautiful food. I'll do that too, but I want to give people real insight because it's very, very important. And of course, if any of you have any questions, feel free to just type them in the comments and I will do my best to answer them the best way I can. But I appreciate y'all so much for being in here. It means so, 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 so much. So, like I said, going back to school, you're taught a lot of things like, oh, if you get this level of degree, you're going to be rich. If you get this and that. And then I realized when I graduated that there was really nothing there. There was nothing that was going to be any different. And that's one thing that people are starting to understand about the educational system in in America, is that when you do leave your schooling, you're going to end up in the same boat as everyone else because you're going to have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in your same major who did the same thing that you did. You know, just because you wore a red tie and that person wore a blue tie, it doesn't matter. You guys are going to be in the same situation where you're going to have to start off from rock bottom and make your way up. And so I realized that everything that professors and stuff were saying in my head, it's not that they were wrong, but I think that the emphasis on, there wasn't really any effort into saying, hey, use your knowledge to go out and do something. You know, not just stay in your box and not just do the same thing that 10 other people from 10 generations back were doing. And that's why I really like being in Europe, because Europe allows you to bring your perspective in, especially as an American, and then you also learn a lot. Like the things that I learned based off of my career, it was amazing. I learned so much in just the field that I'm in from being in Europe and from just learning the value of patience. And if you guys don't know, my background is in mental health and counseling, but that's not really what this channel is about. See, I'm so glad you asked that question, because I was just saying that people in Albania really, really want to know if you like it in Albania, and the answer is yes. So far I'm having a wonderful time. I have seen that people have type of like different mixed views about Albania, but so far the time that I've been here, I've learned so much. It's very social, especially people who are under 40. They love to have conversations with you. I've had people say like, hey, if you need anything, I'm here, or if they don't speak English, they try their best to still conversate with you. And I really like that. The only thing is that every time I ask Albanians if they want to have some coffee or like stay and have dinner, they're like, no, I don't want to, I'm good. And I think it's because they don't want to feel like they're bothering us. But yeah, close to it. And I know it's very, very big. Like the main part of Albania, like the capital, is very, very big. So I personally thought it was only like one street long, but it's like a wide range of places to go within the capital. So, so yeah, that's one thing. Albanians and Europeans in general, they do want to know if you like their country, and you can say, look, listen, I know that Americans are prideful. We are very, very proud of being American, but I can say that Albanians, you guys have us beat, because I've never seen so much pride and love for a country. Even when it comes down to soccer games, I will hear people screaming at the top of their lungs outside, like when they have won a soccer game. And I've also seen people almost in tears when their team does not win. So it is very, very interesting, the pride. Yes, it says we are very patriotic. Exactly. Yes, you guys are very, very patriotic, and I absolutely admire that. And just given the history, which I made a video about the history of Albania. It's gonna come out soon. It's gonna come out on TikTok. I might make a longer one. Well, I can't tell you guys, but I have something coming up, and I will tell you guys around Christmas time what I have coming up. But for now, I can say that given Albania's rich history and honestly culture, and just you can see history wherever you walk. And the only time I've ever seen that was in certain parts of Italy. But like all over Albania, like the entire country, you can see bits of history that is so remarkable, so touching, and it humbles you so much. And we appreciate, as a person who's coming into Albania, I can say that we appreciate that, and we thank you guys so much for not covering it up, not hiding who you were, and just saying this is where our history is, this is where we are now. You know, even as different places in Albania become more modern, this is, I'm so thankful that you like Albania. Yeah, I really, really do. I really, really, really do. I do want to experience, like, not clubbing, but like what the nightlife would be so I can show the audience. So if you have any recommendations, you can go ahead and put that in the chat, and I will definitely say it on the screen, because this video, this live is also going to be on YouTube. If you missed anything, you can go back and see it from the beginning, because I want to make sure that everyone, no matter where they're seeing this, will be able to see, like, you know, the realness about what it's like for an American to move to Europe, and specifically Albania, because you have a lot of people that are moving to Albania. I know another person on here who is in Albania as well, and they have the same wonderful experience. So I want to get into, like I said, the moment I knew it was time to leave America. And like I said, when you go to American schools, they teach you that, oh, you know, you can make it in America if you get a $100,000 degree, or you go to school for 20 years. And that may be true, but I think that it also prevents you from having time to see what the world is like. And then you're so stuck working a job that is probably not going to do you justice, and it's not going to give you the knowledge that you need. And knowledge, worldly knowledge, is, I'm not saying it's free, because you need a plane ticket, excuse me, but, and you know, you need a place to stay. But I can say that the knowledge that you gain from moving outside of your area is such a big return on your investment. There are companies here that are well known in the United States, and I had no idea that their headquarters were here. Not specifically where I live, but they, like in Albania, but there are headquarters here that are so well known in America. And, you know, one of the things that they do say is that as an English speaker, beside, you know, being able to teach English to people, you can also work for these companies if you are a more business-driven person. And the education here is completely different. They have New York University of Tirana. I hope I'm saying that correctly, but that's like, it's not that close to me, but I've heard of it. Like, I saw it on maps, and it's like, when you look at the courses that they teach, it brings you to a whole other level than what you would expect in America. I'm not sponsored by New York University of Tirana, so if you decide to go there at your own risk, because I have no experience with that specific university. But just upon looking at the website and doing my best to translate it, there are some very good courses and very good values that the school holds. So the second thing is that I knew it was time to go and leave America when I felt that things were getting too repetitive. even when I had the job that I wanted, in the space that I wanted to be in, I just felt like, okay, now I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go do that, and then I'm gonna come back home, and then rinse and repeat the same cycle over and over and over again. And yes, there are some things that I'm used to already in Tirana, and Durrës, and other places in Albania, but I don't feel that I will ever get bored. I don't feel that. I don't feel like I will ever get bored, because the way that Albanians do things is like it has to be big. It's like all or nothing. And I absolutely love that. Oh, we're at 3.0K likes. I like that so much. Thank you so much. Again, the more likes we have, the more that this live will be sent to people who are interested in moving abroad. It is very, 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 very important. So what is that? Okay, sorry. I'm getting like weird notifications. So anyway, like I said, things got so repetitive. Things got so repetitive in America, and I just felt like there was no relief for anything. Like it was just like, okay, I'm gonna get up, go to work, deal with the same things, and then come back home, watch the same things, and nobody really wanted to do anything. And even when it came down to my friendships, like my very first live that I did about this, about living in Albania, was a couple of days ago. And the biggest thing was, it was the fact that even when you spoke to your friends about wanting to move abroad and everything like that, they kind of looked at you like, well, why? Like, that's like, that's too much. Like, don't you like this routine that you're doing? Like, aren't you afraid that you're going to have, like a difference in your routine? And I'm like, well, that's what I want. I want to be able to experience new things every day. And I can honestly say in Albania, every day is different, but it's not to the point where you don't feel relaxed. At some point, there is moments to just have a coffee, sit down, relax, and, just really chill. And by the way, if you guys don't know, I'm playing Albanian music in the background, so maybe some of you will recognize it, maybe you won't, but that is really that is how I'm trying to learn Albanian, because I think I know like 4 things, but I don't really know how to conversate with people. And like I was saying yesterday, one of the things that I do miss is having small talk with people. Usually when I go to places like, I don't know, Conad or a fruit stand. Conad is like for those of you who are in the United States, Conad is like the ShopRite or Stop and Shop, or maybe even Costco of Albania and Italy. But Conad is really like an Italian-based grocery store, and just you can get everything that you need. It's just that the packages will be in Italian. That's really it. This song is called Milano by, I don't know, somebody and Melinda. I don't know. But it's a nice song, so let's vibe. But anyway, every day is different in Albania. Every day is but like I said, it's not to the point where you feel uneasy. Another thing I want to talk about is the weather. So everybody says, oh, like the weather is like, I don't know what's going on. I think that Albanian people are not used to this level of coldness, because right now I think it's like 50 something degrees, maybe like 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm talking in Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but you see people dressed up as if they are going to like Canada or something. And mind you, in America, it will go down to 20 degrees Fahrenheit. It will go down to 18 degrees Fahrenheit. And so the level of coldness that they're experiencing here is absolutely nothing. Like all it does, like their winter here, from my experience right now, is that it rains. It's a lot of rain, but not like the UK and not like Seattle either. But like it's raining and then it will be sunny and then it will start thundering. So that's like their winter. But I do know that when you go more towards the north of Albania, you do get some snow. And obviously, like any other country, the hottest place of the country is the South. Um, so, okay, we're at 3.4K likes. That's nice. Let's get them up. I appreciate everybody who's liking the live. It means a lot because I do want to educate those around me on what it's like to move abroad. So thank you so much for that. And earlier, I do want to shout out the people. I don't think they're in here anymore, but I do want to shout out those who gave a heart me, those who gave a rose. By the way, anybody who chooses to gift, you don't have to, but if you choose to, I will follow everyone who decides to gift. Doesn't matter what it is, no amount or anything like that, but I want us to all stay connected. I really, really do, because you guys are like, I treat y'all like my friends, because you guys are my friends. That's what I feel. So anyway, the weather is not too bad. It's not too bad. So with the weather, you just have to understand that you just need a good coat. Specifically for the men, they get what we called in America bubble coats. I don't know what they call them. If anybody is from, well, obviously, I think we have one friend here who is from Albania. If you want to tell us what a bubble coat is in your language in Ship, that would be great. By the way, the Albanian language, the official Albanian language is called Ship. It's not called like I speak Albanian. Is it? Okay, did I say it wrong? I probably did. But it's not saying like I speak Albanian, because Albanian is a ethnic group. It's not their language. But Albanians will understand what you mean when you say I don't speak Albanian. So so back to it. The weather is the weather. It does what it needs to do. It's not too bad. Oh, thank you, the boss. I appreciate it. You are so awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Like I said to everybody, I will remember to follow all of those who choose to contribute. And again, most importantly, the likes are very important, because I want this to reach people who are thinking about moving and leaving the country, but really don't know where to start and don't know, like, maybe some of the emotional cost that it takes. I'm from New York, to answer your question there. So yeah, from New York to Albania. And you would think that I would get used to Tirana if I'm coming from a place like New York, because New York is very busy, especially when you go near Times Square, you go in Manhattan, like it's very busy. But it kind of threw me off, because like I've said earlier, you have a couple of people that walk very, very, very fast in Albania, and it will be so fast to the point where they kind of like brush past you. Now, I have to say that, oh, thank you for 4.1K likes. Thank you. So when someone brushes past you, when it depends on what part of Europe you're from, but I know that my experience in Italy, this didn't happen to me personally, but people were known for doing that trick where they brush past you and it's kind of a way for them to pickpocket you. But this is not the case in Albania. That's not the case at all. When you go to Albania, they're only walking past you because they just walk really, really, really fast. And especially if you're in the main, like the capital part of Albania, everybody has things that they need to do. People are going to work. People are opening their businesses. People are, trying to get their groceries. People are, getting medical exams. It's like you have so many things happening, and you just like don't take it personally. It took me a while, because I'm like, especially coming from New York, I'm like, okay, like you brush past me, like you have to not be in that mindset. So I don't want to say too much, because we want to keep the live nice and clean and friendly. So so we covered the weather and everything like that, and so there's a lot of cultural differences when it comes down to living in Albania. And one of the cultural differences that I realize is really with fashion, not fashion, but with with self-care. If you guys see on my channel, like on my page or whatever, like I do beauty and fashion reviews, and I tell people like, okay, if you're wearing like a wig, whatever, how to keep that, nice and clean or whatever. If you're wearing, any style of clothing, like what's best for you. And I realized that with the culture here, they don't look down on body enhancements. So like you have a lot of Albanian women that I see with like lip fillers. You may have ones who have like, certain augmentations on their body. And it says, I know you're on my FYP everywhere. So, like I said, they have a lot of people who are very open to body enhancements. And it's not seen as a sign of insecurity, but it's seen as a sign of like another level of self-care. Because you're saying, hey, I want to enhance this part of myself. Not because you're insecure, but you're saying, hey, like I want to just add to the beauty that you already have. I see a lot of women have extensions. A lot of women sometimes wear like, wigs and stuff like that. Especially, like I said, in the capital part of Tirana, you'll see that a lot of people are very open to body enhancements and, certain type of fashion add-ons, we call them. So that was one thing. And then what surprised me, and I'm gonna come out with a full-length video on my YouTube. So if you haven't seen the YouTube, go ahead and click my bio on, click the link on my bio and you'll go and see my exact everything on my YouTube and everything that I feel and what I've seen in Albania so far. And what I can say is that the food is seen a lot differently. I don't want to give everything away, but what I can say is that Albanians really like presentation when it comes down to food. Presentation is everything when you are talking about food. They want to make sure that the food is rich. They want to make sure like the leaf is the greenest leaf in the world. Like they will literally like, I haven't had this happen, but I have seen in other videos that somebody said, haha, we do. Yes. Okay. Thank you. I really like that you're interacting with the live because you can give me advice. And even if you want me to say it on the live, I'm more than happy to tell everyone in our audience what, your perspective of, coming from Albania, what that's like. So they really value presentation, especially with food. Like I said, I've seen someone, like a person at a restaurant, like take the food back because it didn't look good. It tasted good probably to the person, but it didn't look good. So they made them like a whole new plate and they brought it out and they didn't get charged or anything like that. It's really, 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 really amazing. And I realized too with the cultural difference that when it comes down to, because I'm not going to lie, in Europe, you do have a lot of people who are in need. Not a lot, but you may have a couple of people that may want some change or they may like beg for money or whatever, but it's not really taken as harshly as it is in America. Like in America, you'll get like, that person will get like cursed out. They'll get yelled at. They'll probably get into an altercation. But with people who usually come in and like beg for food or beg for money or whatever, and it's not often. It's not often at all. It's only in like those high tourist areas. Like with anything, because like if you go to New York, you'll see the same thing in Times Square, the same thing. You'll see 10,000 Spider-Men, trying to get change. But when they do go in there, you tell them nicely, like, hey, if you want food, I'll buy you food. And that is the alternative of saying, here, let me just give you money. Let me just give you money and you go away. It's like, hey, if you want food, I'll buy you food. But again, that doesn't happen a lot. You won't really experience that when you come to Albania. But I can say that that's what I want to talk about. Tipping too, when you give money. Now, it's not pushed on you that you need to give tips to people after they provide you, like, if you get your nails done, if you go out to eat, if you go to the bar or anything, but they do accept it very well as opposed to being in Italy. Because my time in Italy, like, they will look at you like you just like ran over their puppy if you try to tip them. So in Italy, if you're thinking about tipping people, don't do it. I think East Asia is another country where they don't really take tipping very well because it's seen as actually like you're offending them. But in Albania, it's not like they need it, but they are more appreciative when you do tip them. And so they're going to be, like I said, more appreciative, and they are going to really value that. And they'll remember you too. That's one thing I noticed too. Albanians have wonderful memory because the first time I went to get, just on a side note, the first time I went to get my nails done and everything like that in Albania, like the woman, I came back like 2 months later and she still remembered my name. And I was like, oh, thank you. Like, and that's what shows me that Albanians do, that not only are they prideful of their country, they're very patriotic, but they really value the people that come into the country. They want to make you feel like you're welcomed. Now, they don't do the things like we do in America, like how you walk past somebody and you smile, or even if you don't know them. Like in Europe, they think that you're crazy if you do that. So they may not smile at you initially when they lock eyes, because I noticed that with Albanian men, they will look at me, and then unless I smile, that's when they will that's when they will hold on, give me 1 second, y'all. That's when they will go ahead and what's it called? That's when they will interact with you. So I'm sorry, that took a really long time to say. And by the way, I am getting off of this live in about 10 minutes, but I'm always here every day. So don't forget to hit that follow button because I do post daily on my stories. As you can see, I was just a little songbird today. I wanted to just show y'all, what I want to do once I find a karaoke place in Albania. By the way, I haven't found one yet, but and I don't know if you can just sing on the street. So... but we'll figure that out, and when I do, I will get back to you guys on that. But yeah, and so let's see. It says, thank you for this information. You are very, very welcome. I'm always happy to provide this information for people, and every day, every live, I come with new topics. And of course, if you have any questions to ask, like, we're going to go deep, deep, deep into this, because everybody needs to know. Everybody needs to have this. Even if you never move abroad, I feel like there's a lot of people that make these videos and they say like, like I'm moving this place or I'm moving that place. And they're not telling you about the emotional toll that it takes. They're not telling you about the actual things. They're just saying, oh, you can get a job here. This is what the food looks like. And this is where I'm living. Hey, look at me. I'm living a better life. And like that, I don't think that's fair. Because I think it's really unrealistic. And I think that it creates the idea that, oh, like, you're pretty much better than someone or someone's better than you. So one of the last things that I want to talk about is, speaking of emotions, it says, what's been the hardest emotional part of living abroad that people don't see on social media? Now, I want to talk about this. Yesterday, I talked on my live about finding your comfort. And this is kind of like a two-part thing because it does get emotional. You get frustrated when you have to explain yourself to people over and over, especially when there's a language barrier. You get frustrated when you have to, like, simplest things of trying to find a pack of meat. You don't know where it is and you can't read the signs. It's frustrating. One of the things that bothers me and what I had to actually figure out, and it took about a week, 7 days to figure out the difference between which bathroom says women, which bathroom says men, because they don't have a lot of pictures sometimes. They either have pictures that look similar, and I'm like, okay, but then they have the words on there. So that was one of the things that bothered me. Like I almost was like in tears because I was just like, why is it that when you do, try to find like certain things, it can be a little difficult for you. So that was like an emotional part, just really trying to find your way around your space. and to just try to find your level of normalcy again. I don't know if that's a word, but trying to find your level of normal. And, that's one of the things that I want to stress to people is that when you do go to Albania, it is very, 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 very important that you find, or any part of Europe, or even if you go to East Asia, even if you go to South Africa, even if you're just moving to a different town or a different state, like find your level of comfort, because you're going to want to feel in those lonely times that you have something to keep you sane. Like people were making fun of me yesterday, but I showed them the little snacks that I found that are similar to the ones I had in America. And I was like getting roasted pretty much. and, but people don't understand that having that level of comfort can make or break your time, in the country. And so the second emotional part, besides just finding everything, but the second emotional part was not having access to certain things. Like as a TikTok creator, I used to do the, TikTok shops and putting items in my cart and everything like that. And in Albania, you do not have access to the TikTok shop. So that kind of hurt me a lot because I'm like, well, how am I, you want to share your products with the people that you follow or the people that follow you. And so when that doesn't happen, you feel like you're doing a disservice to all of your followers. And so one of the things that I did to kind of like get over that was to create this and to provide information and to say, hey, like, if you want to get this product and you're in Europe though, this is the alternative. And then also just let them know like, hey, just to really emphasize that there is still a life outside of your home country and what you're used to, and that you're not going to lose everything just because some things are a little different. Like I said back in the beginning of the live, accepting change and having patience is one of the most important things that I learned while moving abroad. And it's very well needed. Now, again, if you're going to Italy or a country that does have the TikTok shop, you don't have to worry about that. Excuse me. But there are so many things that you gain, even if you're looking at the things that you have quote unquote lost. So just other than that, I'm having like a really, really good time in Albania. I'm very, very grateful. I'm here with my family. If those of you who decide to travel alone, I would just recommend getting a solid group of people that you can trust. And also, we're going to go into this tomorrow, but we're going to talk about the medical things and everything you have to do. Make sure that, you just surround yourself in a place or with people that can help you get adjusted to the environment, because you don't have to be alone. I know that every time people leave their environment, they may feel like they were shunned out of their community, or they were made to feel like what they're doing is so pretty much like preposterous or like so dangerous. As long as you practice common sense anywhere you go, you will be able to really achieve great, great, great things. And like I said, I have to just say this again, but diversity does not equal danger. You are not in danger. Hold on, y'all. Okay. You are not in danger just because there is a lack of diversity, or you're seeing people that you're not used to seeing, or you no longer see people that you're used to seeing. From my experience, when I tell people where I'm from and who I am and my ethnic background and everything like that, it's actually not admired to the point where you're made to feel like, like a little big-headed about it, but they do embrace the culture. Like one of the things that is embraced here as far as music is like a lot of Afro beats, a lot of the culture is surrounded, by Africa, especially because Africa is, when you think about it, because Italy is so close, and Africa is kind of like, it's like below Italy, and then Albania is like right next to Italy. It's like, it's very, very close. So you have those influences. You have the influence from Africa. You have influences from the Middle East. And even when you look at Albania's history, they had some Chinese influence as well, which I'm going to be making a video about that too. But I'm saying all this historical stuff because I want people to know that, like, you have to understand a country's history to understand its people, and to understand, hey, Primal, welcome in, and to understand that being in the culture and understanding the history. Thank you for the heart, me. I appreciate it. Understanding the culture, like I said, it will allow you to understand the people. And a lot of the stereotypes that we have about Europe and just certain people, it's like it's like you see from a different perspective, like what it really is about. And one of the last things, I know we have 3 minutes left till I go off of live. Hey, Primal, I hope you had a wonderful day. And thank you so much for us getting to 6K likes. It's so important. I want to make sure that this is being shown to people who are thinking about leaving the country or who are just curious, even if they never leave their home country. Trust me, this is not a movement. I am not forcing anyone to leave their environment, but what I can do is really give a realistic perspective. So no, it's okay, Primal. I'm gonna be here tomorrow. I'm gonna try to make my lives every day at it's 8 p.m. my time. It's technically 8:58. So like whatever time the previous hour was for you, that is what time I'm gonna be starting my lives. And also, like I said, y'all, I have a YouTube channel. So if I post everything that you guys see here, if you miss anything, I always post the full live 1 to 2 days after after the day that it happened. So the last thing I want to really talk about, because we have about 2 minutes left, is the value of news. I was so shocked when I saw how America looked like when I saw the news from a different country. Like, do you know that there are ads? Like, you know how you see ads in America about, oh, feed the hungry, feed this, da da da. Do you know that places like Germany, places like the UK, even African countries have commercials about the US and Canada saying, oh, feed those kids because they're starving. They don't have nutrition. And that to me blew my mind. It blew my mind. And I'm like, wow, like we're sitting here talking about other countries, but we're going through the same thing. So it definitely was a humble pill. Definitely was something that I needed to just kind of like debrief from and really just realize like, hey, no country is perfect. But I do want to thank you guys for attending the live tonight. I do appreciate it. What I'm going to do is, like I said, I'm going to post this live. Once it's downloaded into my database, I'm going to post it, and I'm going to also have different clips. So if you want to see certain subjects, that's what you'll see. And all of that can be found on my YouTube channel. The link is in the bio of this page that I'm talking from. And tomorrow we're going to get into topics like healthcare. We're going to get into things like, I'm going to revisit the family thing, because that was a question I actually got in my DM today. I don't know if that person was here, but I'm going to get into just what it's like to separate from family when you do live abroad. And we're also just going to recap everything that we spoke about tonight and any other new topics we can find. But of course, I hope to see you all tomorrow. Definitely. And if you have any questions that you want me to talk, or any topics you want me to talk about in the live, feel free to just DM me. And, I don't have to call you out and say, oh, so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that. Just let me know. And I will be more than happy to share my experience and even do some research if I have to, because it is super important to make sure that if you are thinking about leaving the country, or you just are just curious, or you're already out of your country, that you don't feel alone and that you are given the best information that you can. So thank you so much for the gifts. Again, if I haven't followed you already, I will follow all my gifters. And I appreciate the 6.7K likes. And I hope to see y'all soon. And I hope you have a blessed night. And again, thinking just outside of your box is one of the greatest things that you can do for yourself. Thank you so much for the roses to Primal. Thank you. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.